Candy, can you hear us?
I sure can.
Okay, we're almost ready.
Okay, thank you.
Call me first.
All right, are you ready, Candy?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. It's Tuesday, July 22nd of 2025. This is the Stoughton City Council meeting, and the first order of business would be the roll call.
Okay, thank you. Reeves.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Schumacher.
Here.
Gno.
Here.
Nino.
Here.
Carabello.
Here.
Wozniak Scanlon.
Here.
Sherlunke.
Here.
Hirsch.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Hillison.
Here.
Okay, we have 11 alders present and Alder Abel is absent and excused.
All right, thank you, Candy. We are certified of compliance with open meeting laws, and the next item on the agenda would be public comment period. I do have a few people signed up to speak. The first one is Kyle. I wasn't going to try to pronounce your last name. There you go.
Shallow.
Shallow?
Yes.
Just like it looks, right?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. Good evening, council members. My name is Kyle Shallow, and I am a resident of the Kettle Park West neighborhood here in Stoughton. 608 Telemark Trail is my address. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding the proposed amendment to the agreement to the subdivision improvements for Kettle Park West Phase 2. The current amendment under consideration would remove the planned connection of Oak Opening Drive to State Highway 138. I am concerned that eliminating this connection will negatively impact the community by reducing the number of access points into and out of the neighborhood. As planned, future development in Kettle Park West includes a multifamily apartment complex and additional family homes to the west. The resulting increase in vehicle traffic would add significant congestion to the already busy commercial corridor within Kettle Park West through Jackson Street, which could affect the safety of our community. I respectfully urge the council to carefully reconsider the implications of removing the Oak Opening Drive connection to Highway 138 and to evaluate its potential impacts on traffic flow, safety, and overall neighborhood accessibility as Stoughton continues to grow. Thank you for your time, consideration, and the opportunity to speak with you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I have Faith or Kenneth. Who wants to go first? Are you going to tag team it? All right. You're good.
My name is Kenneth Shuck, 1616 Spring Road, Stoughton, Wisconsin. I'm speaking in regard to the address for the Emmy Roth facility in Stoughton. For those of you who may not get to the north edge of Stoughton on Williams Drive, here is a list of some known landmarks and their addresses. If you start just past the street going into the business park and the U.S. Postal Service Annex, the Gingerbread House is 1540 Williams Drive. The farm on the west side across from Nelson Global is 1555. Nelson Global is 1560 Williams Drive. The farm immediately south of Emmy Roth is 1588 Williams Drive. Emmy Roth is 1800 Williams Drive. The farm north of Emmy Roth in South County B is 1680 Williams Drive. If you cross B going north, there's Oak Knoll Park. There's a town of Pleasant Springs Park there with the baseball diamonds. That's been a cooperative agreement between the town, the city, and Stoughton Youth Baseball for many years. But if you continue north, you have the Oak Knoll Petty Acre subdivision. At the north end of that subdivision is Yahara Road. It goes east into the subdivision. The house on the west side of Williams Drive, even with that road, is 1799 Williams Drive. For many months, semi drivers have been turning north on Williams Drive looking for the 1800 address. We assume that, or I assume they're following their GPS guidance systems as most drivers of automobiles, trucks, and semis do nowadays. GPS leads them to a point near a residence at 1809 Williams Drive. This results in semis turning around in farm driveways, proceeding north to Rolling Meadows subdivision, which is up by the Fayette County Park, or some drivers realize it sooner. They go through Oakdale Petty Acres looking for a way to return to County Road B. If any of you have paid attention to social media, you've probably like Stoughton neighborhood, a lot of complaints about truck drivers, semi drivers in residential streets in Stoughton due to the Highway 51 detour due to the construction process. I'm assuming that at the end of the 51 project, Highway 51 project, the semi-truck traffic on city streets will probably come to an end. However, because the city of Stoughton made an error when they assigned the address of 1800 Williams Drive to the Emmy Roth facility, the semi-drivers turning the wrong direction and trying to get back to County B will continue. I think that traffic will continue until the city of Stoughton corrects the error and assigns an address to the Emmy Roth facility that comports with the existing standards or is in harmony with the other existing addresses on Williams Drive. The town of Pleasant Springs added a large sign in Oakdale Park, you might have seen it, that directs traffic, truck traffic to the south, but drivers are still going to the north because they are obviously following their GPS directions, and the logical location would be well north of County Road B based on the addresses on Williams Drive already. And I would suggest that a simple 1602 Williams Drive would put it into sequence that matches the others on that Williams Drive area. Thank you.
Thank you. Push the button there. You're good.
Thank you for this time. My name is Faith Shuck. I live at 1616 Spring Road, town of Pleasant Springs, Stoughton, Wisconsin. I'm a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and have lived at my address for 41 years. I'm representing myself and the concern of children's safety. I'm here to address the numbering of Emmy Roth on Williams Drive. The address assigned to this property is 1800. This business address does not follow the logical numbering system. The residence north of Emmy Roth is 1680, and the business to the south of Emmy Roth is 1600, which is the Marquis Star Holding Incorporated, and the next residence is 1888, both on the same side of the road. The town of Pleasant Springs has been under siege since early spring 2024, with semis trying to find 1800 Williams Drive. Semi-drivers follow their GPS and turn north on Williams Drive only to be told they have arrived when they pull up to 1807, not 1809, Williams Drive, which is a farmette with no easy turnaround. So the drivers at that point, we assume, call to say, where is this delivery address? Where is 1800's Williams Drive? And they find out that they need to turn around and head back south across County Highway B and watch for Emmy Roth on the left-hand side. In doing the turnaround, we have them going through two subdivisions populated with many children. Oak Knoll Petty Acres and Rolling Meadows subdivisions both have parks. There are as many as 10 semis a day wandering around in the early spring of 2024 through one of those subdivisions. The Pleasant Springs Township worked with Emmy Roth to put up a sign directing the drivers to the south. I am sorry to report they don't read signs, they just follow their GPS, just like we all do. Most recently, turning into a private driveway, turning around in these in the farmer's farmyard. According to Mayor Swadley, the address number of Emmy Roth business can't be changed. He also suggested the town of Pleasant Springs change all the residents' fire numbers from County Highway B north to County Highway MN on Williams Drive, and then there'd be no problem. Dane County won't do that. They won't approve it. Mayor Swadley also informed me that I should update my GPS. So I did last fall to the tune of $275. My GPS still takes me to 1807 Williams Drive and says, "You have arrived." There are 10 major GPS highly rated companies in the United States and many more. I would have thought that my 2019 Highlander would have found 1800 Williams Drive after the upgrade. The easiest answer is to have Emmy Roth change to 1602 or change their address to Glacier Marine Drive. Then the subdivision children and grandchildren will be safe. This doesn't happen. If it doesn't happen, we're passing an albatross onto future generations. This is a safety issue. It's not who's wrong or who's right in assigning address numbers. Children look to adults to care for them and keep them safe. These children and families are counting on all of us. When you leave tonight, I implore you, use your GPS and put in 1800 Williams Drive and see where it takes you. Or, better yet, drive by Emmy Roth and see where the address sign 1800 is placed. You'll be surprised. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak tonight? Hearing none, we'll get into our regular order of business. And the first item is our introduction of historical fact. President Schumacher.
All right, because on our schedule we have the potential for naming a new park, I was digging into where historic names of the park Stoughton originated from. So there's kind of a dearth of information about where some of these origin names come from. The only one notable that you can really get some deep information on is Mant Park, and that one was originated from Ole Amundsen Mant, who emigrated from Norway in 1869 with his parents Amund and Ingeborg Mant, settling in the Stoughton area. He was a civic-minded local businessman and landowner with an eye toward establishing public spaces. He was recognized for donating the land that became Mant Park in 1938. Some of the other park names are family some family names in there: Amundsen Park, Bjorn Park, Belker Park, and I make an open appeal to citizens whom have knowledge about those families in there that I'd like to get some more of that information about those family names and see if we can backfill some of this historic information about the park in there. Some of the other locations or some of the other parks are named just simply for locations, like East Side Park, Riverside Park, Westview Ridge Park, Lowell Street, Dunkirk Park, and some are purpose or group named, like the Veterans Memorial Park or the Rotary Park. That is about all I have on park for tonight. But yeah, that is an open appeal. Send me an email if you have information about that, or I'd love to talk to people that know of these family names where these parks have come from.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a presentation from Nels from Yahara Bay Distillery. And I'll get this queued up for you. All right. How you doing? Just push the button there and you're live.
Good evening. You want me to just point when it's time for the
Sure,
next slide?
that'll work.
Okay. Thank you to the City Council and the City of Stoughton for giving me this time to present and shed a little light on Yahara Bay and my intention for the move to Stoughton. As you know, Yahara Bay Distillers is looking to relocate to Stoughton, not just to set up shop, but to become an integral part of this city's story. We're not just talking about barrels and bottles. We're talking about jobs, tourism, contributing to a strong local economy, and supportively honoring the celebrated Norwegian heritage Stoughton is so fondly known for. For Yahara Bay, this move represents more than a business decision. It's bringing the family-owned and operated business home, and it is a commitment to community collaboration. The owners of Yahara Bay and their family live in Stoughton, and we have members from 2 previous generations with personal and professional history in Stoughton. The brand, Yahara Bay, is derived from the very river that runs through and is celebrated by the Stoughton community. Stoughton offers the perfect blend of small-town charm and entrepreneurial energy that makes it the ideal setting for a growing craft distillery. By relocating here, Yahara Bay Distillers aims to enhance Stoughton's economic landscape while embracing its heritage and local talent. Stoughton isn't just a place on the map, it's a place with a soulful identity. It has a rich history, a strong work ethic, and a community that values tradition while embracing new opportunities. That's precisely what Yahara Bay Distillers is about. Craftsmanship rooted in history with an eye on the future. Our plan isn't just about moving operations, it's about creating something special for the community. We see Stoughton as a destination for Wisconsin artisan tourism experiences and a home for innovation. With the right support, this relocation can bring lasting benefit to the city. We believe that a thriving craft distillery can bring more than just economic prosperity. It can contribute to a sense of identity and pride in a community already rich in character. Yahara Bay Distillers is known for its dedication to quality, innovation, and collaboration. Stoughton presents an opportunity to grow that reputation. Stoughton's history of industry and craftsmanship aligns perfectly with our company's values. The city is home to hardworking and dedicated workforce, and we are excited about the opportunity to bring skilled jobs and new opportunities to the people of Stoughton. More than just spirits, let's talk numbers. Because while passion fuels us, practical benefits matter. By relocating to Stoughton and expanding our operations, we project over 25 new full-time equivalent jobs in the first year alone, ranging from production and sales to tourism and hospitality. More visitors means more dollars spent in Stoughton's restaurants, shops, entertainment venues, and hotels. The Wisconsin Visitor Industry 2023 report, prepared by Tourism Economics, estimates $14,000 per 100 visitors to Wisconsin. We anticipate 5,000 plus visitors per year from outside Stoughton to enjoy hosted public events, join distillery tours, and attend private parties at Yahara Bay's location. A state-of-the-art tasting room and restaurant will attract visitors from across the region, positioning Stoughton as a craft spirits destination. Partnering with like-minded craft beverage producers is in our genes. We subscribe to All Ships Rise with the Tide and aim to collaborate with local breweries, wineries, and cideries through retail and production partnerships. Further, we have a vision of an Only in Stoughton spirits line that local retailers and bars can carry, creating exclusivity and bolstering Stoughton as a tourism destination. We continue to source local grains, produce, packaging, and other materials from Wisconsin-based businesses, ensuring that our success benefits surrounding communities as well. We don't just make liquor, we create experiences and lasting memories. A thriving distillery brings foot traffic, business collaborations, and a ripple effect that benefits the entire community. People don't just visit a distillery, they explore the city, stay in local hotels, dine in restaurants, and shop at local businesses. Stoughton will benefit from this added attraction with more visitors discovering all that this wonderful city has to offer. Beyond job creation and tourism, our presence in Stoughton will provide a platform for local artisans, musicians, and businesses to showcase their work. From featuring local artists in our tasting room to hosting community events that highlight regional talent, Yahar Bay Distillers is committed to integrating itself into the cultural fabric of Stoughton. We take pride in sustainable practices, from sourcing local ingredients to using energy-efficient production methods. But sustainability isn't just about the environment, it's about people. We plan to partner with local farmers, artists, and businesses to keep our impact as homegrown as our spirits. Imagine a seasonal makers market on site, featuring local artisans and artists. Picture live music nights showcasing the region's talented musicians. This isn't just a business, it's a community hub. Our vision is to create a space that welcomes locals and visitors alike, where people gather to celebrate craft, culture, and community. Beyond our local partnerships, Yahar Bay Distillers is committed to responsible resource usage, reducing waste, and implementing green energy solutions. As an industry leader, we understand our responsibility to minimize our environmental impact, and we take that responsibility seriously. For this vision to take shape, we're looking for a strategic partnership with the city. Specifically, we're seeking zoning and permitting assistance, streamlining the approval process to ensure a smooth transition and build-out. Economic incentives, exploring financial support opportunities to offset relocation and build-out costs and to further increase the property value, thus increasing the city's tax revenue. Collaborative marketing, partnering with local tourism boards and businesses to integrate Yahar Bay into Stoughton as a destination. Infrastructure support, working with city planners to ensure our facility is equipped with the necessary utilities and logistics support for a flawless operation with minimal infrastructure disruption. Cost considerations. The total cost of the building and build-out must remain below $5 million. We are exploring cost-effective construction methods, sustainable building materials, and phased development strategies to stay within budget while ensuring a high-quality facility and customer experience. We anticipate seeking financial support in the form of grants, tax incentives, and conventional financing to manage costs effectively and to maximize budget allocation to designing, building, and delivering an exceptional distillery experience. Facility and transition timing. To best manage moving and build-out costs, taking ownership of the facility 12 months prior to Stoughton Utilities and EMS's intention to move out is preferred. This allows for construction of the manufacturing facility and subsequently the retail and tasting room to be efficiently accomplished as one single project, uninterrupted. These aren't just requests. They are investments in a future that benefits everyone. By working together, we can ensure that this move is successful, not only for Yahar Bay Distillers, but for Stoughton as a whole. Yahar Bay Distillers isn't just looking for a new address. We're looking for a community to grow with. We want to create a space where craftsmanship, culture, and commerce come together in a way that benefits Stoughton for years to come. We believe in the power of collaboration. We believe that with the right support, we can make Stoughton a premier destination for craft spirits, hospitality, and tourism. And we believe that when communities and businesses work together, incredible things can happen. So here's the question: are we ready to build something incredible together? If so, let's raise our glass, because the best chapters of Stoughton's story are still being written, and we'd be honored to be a part of them. I welcome any questions or comments, and I thank you again for this opportunity to present. And one more slide.
All right, thank you for being here, and thank you for your interest in Stoughton. Are there any questions from alders about anything? Alderperson Nino?
Yeah, hi, thank you so much. You mentioned sustainability practices. I'm just curious if you could tell us a little bit more specifically what sort of sustainability practices you would be implementing.
So there are systems that we would like to invest in, including hot water reclaiming and reuse. We use a lot of hot water. We use boilers, and we heat our stills with steam. And it's a shame to see hot water just go down the drain after it's used. And so we'd like to invest in the equipment. And I have a relative that also owns a distillery, and they have done this. So I have resources to help us put that in place. And then along with that, we'd like to invest in solar for electricity. I think we have a nice big roof down there on 6th Street.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Not hearing any. I know on your slide you talked about timing. Maybe you can, elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure, I certainly can. Wasn't sure how much time I had, but yes, timing. I have flexibility in timing. I do have a lease on my current facility through September of 2028, and so I do have to work around that. However, because the building on 6th Street, on 4th Street, is large enough that we could build out the production and warehouse, move in without forcing Stoughton Utilities and EMS to leave. They could stay for a period of time. So based on my current lease, I will aim to close on the sale transaction, the purchase of the building, around August of 2027. So we have about 2 years before that. That's also flexible. If we want to get creative on how this works for the city, we'll leave it at that. Okay. We would then immediately begin build out of the warehouse and production side. This is the back half of the building, which would be the west side of the building. That would take about 9 to 11, maybe 12 months to build out. So we would look to then move June of 2028, giving ourselves a little bit of an overlap before the lease is up. Now that, again, we could move in, and that does not mean Stoughton Utilities is forced out, nor EMS, because I do understand that they are still working on their own new home, and there are some challenges there. And so the timing all becomes a puzzle that we would have to just continue to have conversations about.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Sure. And I would just add that some of us had opportunities to tour your current facility, and I know I was really impressed. I went out there with Director Weiss at the time, and I know Director Munz-Pritchard and City Attorney and Director Aber went out there as well. So thank you for taking the time to take us through your building. It was pretty cool.
It's our pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for coming and visiting.
And just a clarification, just because I know the previous proposal was for the Stoughton Utilities building and the Powerhouse building.
Yes.
I know we've talked about it before. Can you confirm that it would just be for Stoughton Utilities is the plan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Based on the cost of rehabbing the Powerhouse, I've chosen to pass on that opportunity at this time.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or anything? So yeah, check in with us periodically. Let us know. We'll stay in the loop with you and let us know how our process are going on our end.
Yeah, we certainly
So
will.
we have one building facility study for public safety that we hope will be completed by the end of the year. And then we're having conversations about what we're going to do going forward with the relocation plan for Stoughton Utilities. So we'll keep you in the loop on that as we get more information.
Sounds great. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thank you.
And I guess just for process-wise, we don't have a discussion item on tonight, but I think potentially maybe we'll have this on for a future meeting that doesn't have as many agenda items to get, I guess, feedback from the council and direction on how they want to go.
All right. And then the next item I have is Authentics. Somebody here from Authentics? Yes, indeed. And I'll cue this up for you. It'll just take me a second to find it. And there it is.
Perfect.
Thanks for being here again.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Skelton. I'm representing Continental Properties to present the Authentic Stoughton project for conditional use permit application that's later on the agenda tonight. You can go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, that's not it. There we go.
Yeah, so first I'll just give you a little bit of a background on Continental. Since some of you are new faces, some of you have heard us before at Plan Commission. Excuse me. But then I'll give a high-level overview of some of the comments that we heard from Plan Commission and how we incorporated them throughout the project. Some of which being mainly the sustainability initiatives and amenities that we're really excited to share with you. And then a couple changes that we've made to our plans and how that they're in compliance with all of the MR zoning standards. You can go to the next one. So Continental, we are based out of Menominee Falls. We're a developer, owner, operator of residential multifamily communities and have built over 35,000 homes to date across 19 different states. And we also have over 44 years of experience. While we do have a national presence, we also have a commitment to our home state in Wisconsin with 6 communities that we've developed and are still in our ownership today, which over 1,500 people call home in Wisconsin. So we do prioritize our integrated team where we have our customer feedback team, and we like to incorporate their feedback as a part of all of our developments moving forward so that we can be better than the last one. So just quickly orienting everyone to the site. The location is on the intersection of US Highway 51 and County Highway B. And then we can get into our proposed site plan a little bit more. So the site plan that we're showing includes 312 units, which will be located across 12 different residential buildings. And you can kind of see on the table on the right, after our Plan Commission meeting in June, we've updated our proposal. And since then, the unit count is still 312, but we've increased the total site area from 15 to 18 acres, so that our landscape surface ratio went from 40.2 to 50.9. We've also added additional open space throughout the community, so our overall density has gone from 21 units per acre to 17 units per acre. And then after the changes that we made since Plan Commission, we are now meeting the 50% landscape surface ratio by standard by adding that detention basin to the north. So this detention basin, here are just some images of what we think it'll look like. It will include native prairie landscaping, walking paths, seating areas, but allow for overflow stormwater management during those larger storm events. And Continental will assume all maintenance costs with this area and grant the city any easements that they should need. Here's a rendering of what that detention basin will roughly look like. So this is incorporated, like I said, for open space, amenity space. You can see the trail connectivity through there, which also can connect to the larger biking trails. So yeah, this will be the gateway that you will see when you are coming from 51 into the Stoughton project. Now to get into some of the sustainability initiatives. The first one being that we've added a community garden. This is where residents will be able to grow any of their own fruits and vegetables. It will be equipped with a rain barrel for harvesting any rainwater so that they can have easy access by watering. It'll also be attached with a hose bib and composting station. So this will give residents opportunities to grow and eat some of their own food, but also give a space for residents to foster relationships within the community. Next is our green roof. So this will be a part of the grounds building, which will be visible right when you come into the main entrance. The green roof will help reduce stormwater runoff and the urban heat island effect by improving energy efficiency. And this is something that we haven't ever done before on our other projects. So we're really excited about this. I think it's a really interesting opportunity to be creative and different than any other community that we've built. Here's the concept rendering. It's kind of hard to see because it's our first rendering that we've ever done with a green roof. So our renderer is still getting used to some of the color schemes here. But you can see the green roof on top of the maintenance building, and then that community garden is to the right of it. In front of that is our open area dog fenced-in pet playground. Next, we have the butterfly garden. So this, again, is similar location right at the entrance of the community across from the clubhouse. And according to a recent study by the Midwest Climate Adaptation Science Center, the butterfly population fell 22% from 2000 to 2020. So we're going to use specific plants to cater to butterflies and other pollinators so that we can provide a habitat for these, a part of our ecosystem, and be an additional amenity to our residents. So we'll feature a walking trail throughout this landscaped area. Here's another example. This is a rendering where you see our clubhouse on the left-hand side and the butterfly garden with a walking trail through it on the right. One of the other sustainability initiatives that we're providing is an indoor bike storage and repair room. This will allow for 28 indoor bike storage spaces, and it'll also have all the repair tools and stands to allow residents to do any of their own bike maintenance if they should choose to do so. This is also something that we haven't really done before, but located right next to the trail network, we wanted to feel like this is an attractive amenity for residents and help promote more of that multimodal mode of transportation in Stoughton. We've also incorporated EV charging throughout the development. So we've added 4 EV charging spaces, which are spread out throughout the community with varying locations by the clubhouse or by resident buildings. And we also added EV infrastructure so that any additional EV stalls could be added in the future. Another addition we've made is balconies to some of the units facing the public street on Greenbrier Drive. So these specific buildings will take advantage of the park that is immediately adjacent to the public right-of-way that this street is on, so we can get some varying articulation in the architecture. And then next, I just wanted to briefly discuss the resident amenities that we do have in our typical multifamily communities. So these include the heated outdoor pool, the clubhouse, which has a community gathering area, and our 24-hour fitness center. And this is where our on-site maintenance team sits as well. And we also have a pet area, and in that maintenance garage, a car care center and a pet spa. So here's just an exhibit of where some of these amenities are. We try to spread them out throughout the site, but also include a lot of them in the entryway, since a lot of the community amenities are adjacent to the clubhouse, where we can really foster a community feel with a large development like this. Again, just showing the location on some of these amenities, some of these being in the clubhouse as well. Next, we just wanted to highlight some areas where Continental is exceeding the requirements of the multifamily residential zoning. So the Authentic Stoughton is exceeding the minimum requirements for building setbacks, building separation, and parking setbacks. And this was done more for more buffer space for landscaping throughout this development and the surrounding areas for the buildings and residents. Adding more space between buildings is important for all of our first floor residents, because they do have direct entry right into their unit, so they're not going through a common area or corridor. They're utilizing their front porches and the open areas right outside of their units. Our units will also be larger than what is required by code across all building types, and we do feature studio through 3 bedrooms. And continuing our commitment to the multimodal and sustainable transportation, we're providing 82 bike parking spaces, and required by code, is 32 more than code. And additionally, we are providing a higher percentage of landscaping and green space for this project. And not only a higher percentage in terms of the acreage amount, but higher quality. So we're providing 39% of the gross site area as permanently protected green space as opposed to the 30% requirement. And we're also 2,000 points above the code requirement. And the point system works where if it's a higher quality planting, then you receive more points. So we're 2,000 points above that code requirement as well. And that's all I had for you tonight. I'm here to answer any questions and just really appreciate everyone's time and effort in this project. So thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? Alderperson Hirsch.
Thank you. I really appreciate, I mean, this presentation is beautiful, and the different aspects that you included into this development. I was just curious, for your community garden, you have 312 apartments. How many community garden spaces will there actually be? Because your picture showed only like 6 or something, and so that was like pretty small for the number of apartments.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number of beds based on the space there, but we will have, in some of these renderings, it's hard to see, but there were some beds on the right-hand side of the pet playground, and then there was space to put some on the left-hand side as well. Okay. So they'll be spread out through the community, but I think, yeah, in this photo, I think we'll have maybe 6 looking at this rendering in this area, but then further what would be planned north, there's going to be additional space for a community garden as well.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? President Schumacher.
I just wanted to express my appreciation for the group, especially with from the Plan Commission also, and for presentation here of really taking the feedback that we offered to you and bringing back a product that you're excited about.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, we do have an agenda item later on. Oh, you have another one?
I just wondered how many, because when you look at your photo, there's a lot of surface parking. Is there any of the parking underground, and how many spaces per apartment, or how many spaces total are there? Because that's a lot of surface area that's exposed.
We don't have any underground parking, and we have a 1.66 to 1 parking ratio for the site. And typically internally at our projects, we like to see more of that 1.75 to 1. So we have come down based on some of the comments from staff and Plan Commission on our parking ratio, mainly because like there could be some parking along Greenbrier Drive, which is parallel, but a lot of times in colder climates, people do like to have some additional room for parking, whether they have, you know, most of our units are maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms. They could have 2 cars or with guest parking. We see that 1.75 to 1 is our most ideal ratio, so we're a little bit below that ratio.
All right, anything else for tonight? Probably be seeing you again.
Yep,
Thank you for
you
being
will.
here.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to our consent agenda. Looks like there's 3 items in there. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schumacher. Anything that you want to act on separately in the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Next item comes from Finance Committee, Alderperson Butler.
This is R101 of 2025, a resolution of the Common Council to approve an agreement with Town of Pleasant Springs regarding maintenance of various joint streets and right-of-ways, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wozniak Scanlon. Alderperson Butler.
we've discussed this in council previously. This is the agreement for, maintenance on plowing and what have you for Scotland, Williams Drive, Skyline, and Burritt Road between Pleasant Springs and City of Stoughton. And Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to fill in the blanks.
All right. I'll look to the city attorney. He worked with the township to draft the agreement.
So basically there are streets that are, for all intents and purposes, town roads that the city has a small sliver of jurisdiction. Scotland Road, that one is probably the one where it's more like a checkerboard, where it's town, city, and then town. But the other right-of-ways we're talking about, they're very like minimal areas that the city technically has jurisdiction. Some of it's not even pavement, some of it is just in the right-of-way. So the town originally approached the city about a maintenance agreement for Scotland Road, but we thought we would at least try to address all of these. The town has asked for reimbursement for maintenance costs as drafted. They are responsible for like plowing and lawn mowing, but if there are any sort of larger improvements, so chip sealing, any type of reconstruction, things like that, the cost would be apportioned appropriately for each respective community's respective share. So, yeah, the town has asked for reimbursement, but that was not a direction that finance decided to go.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None opposed. That motion carries. Next item is coming from Community Affairs Council Policy, and I believe that's Alderperson Nino.
Yeah, this is Resolution 102-2025, and this is a request to name a park per our park naming policy. STI came to the city with a naming request for Stoughton Trailers Community Park. This was recommended for approval by the committee. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, I so move.
All right. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Viano. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. Anybody else on the committee have anything to add? Any questions?
Yes, sir. I'd like to know a little bit more about, was there discussion? Is this just the name presented? Was there discussion about that?
Yeah, the name was presented. The committee had some concerns about the name and also about the timing of the name, it being quite early in the timeline of the development of the park. However, after STI went back and did a little background research and provided a phased plan that you'll see in the packet for the development of the park and what the amenities could potentially be moving forward. The committee felt that the partnership moving forward with this park was important, and in support of that, supported the name.
So I agree with that. I guess one I would ask Rio, would it be, I mean, I did my bit on the parks in my in the historic bit just for a specific reason, outlining that, you know, a lot of them are based off of family names, locations, or other purposes in there. So this would be the very first one that we would name as a corporate entity. I would say I would prefer to have it as your family namesake, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's something that you know, our team did discuss a lot internally, and to be honest, obviously I'm very proud of the family and a lot about it, but there's a lot of people who have contributed to Stoughton Trailers. There's a lot of employees who have gotten us really far and who we are today, and we think that the name and the brand behind it and kind of what we've stood for within this community is probably more important at this point. And we want, we think Stoughton Trailers is synonymous with Stoughton, but it's synonymous to the people who work there too. And I think just putting the Wallene name on it would be unfair to them.
Okay, I understand.
Alderperson Reese?
Just a clarification, because I read the letter from Stoughton Trailers, and I know that it mentions contributing more parkland than was required, but I thought that our developer agreement reimbursed for that. So I wasn't clear about that, if it was actually a gift or even. So maybe you could help me remember.
It's not a straightforward answer. So,
well, it's coming from an attorney,
yeah.
right?
So you are correct. They they have dedicated more land than what would be required under the ordinances. I can't remember the exact number. Like ordinance would have required like 16 or so acres. Maybe they know off the top of their heads, but there was a significant more amount contributed. That amount that they got for their TIF on the project, it factors in because the more land that they dedicate, that's less developable land. So that factored into the Eller's analysis to where, right, you've got so many acres that are being dedicated as parkland. If you would have developed those, you would have had more, I guess, return on the investment to develop the land. So in that sense, it factored in the TIF amount or the TIF analysis, but there's not like a straight dollar for dollar contribution in the agreement. It's more or less how the final TIF amounts were calculated.
Thank you. Yeah, and I would agree that I think the Wallene Foundation and Stoughton Trailers has been very generous with, their financial support, and I appreciate the enthusiasm for the park that's, going to happen at some point with the, council approval. I'll be frank, I'm hoping for some future financial, commitment, because the wish list is very long and, it's also very expensive for our taxpayers. So I don't object to the naming, but I'm hoping we can continue that financial partnership. I'll just leave it at that.
I think that's, Mayor, you raised this question throughout the discussions a couple of times, and that's part of the reason we wanted to address the naming issue kind of at this early stage, just because we don't want to, the partnership I think is really important for this, and if for whatever reason the council decided they didn't want us to be involved in the park, or if the naming wasn't supported or something like that, we also don't want the master planning process to be assuming that we are participants. And it's just, I think in this sense, it's a much more efficient process, because there's the master planning that will look, I think, different with the partnership versus without the partnership. But then there's also a lot of efficiencies we can accomplish construction-wise, that while we're doing some of our phase 2 work, we may be able to assist in a more cost-effective approach for some of the park developments as we go through that too. And so I think that's part of the reason that we think MSA was a great selection for that. They're the engineer who's done the entire project. So there's a lot of efficiency I think we can gain by partnering at this stage. And as far as a financial commitment, I'll quote one of the citizen members in the committee that worked on it. And this, we've put a lot into putting our headquarters in this location. We will absolutely not want to see something not be beautiful and successful right in the backyard. So we too look very forward to that.
Alderperson Hirsch?
Thank you. I guess I don't have a problem with the naming of it, but just, I guess according to the policy, naming a park doesn't then, it doesn't equal ownership of the park. It's still a city park just with the name. And I guess I was a little put off by that you already phased the park kind of process and what's going to go on, and that's actually what Park and Recs Committee actually does. I mean, you're one of the stakeholders, STI, that will be involved with helping design it, but you're not the only one. And we're going to get the community members involved and a lot of other people, and I guess I just want to make sure that as we go forward and we really adhere to this policy, that just because the park may be named after you doesn't mean that it's Stoughton Trailers Park. It's the city of Stoughton's park, and we have a process of creating a master plan, of phasing it, deciding what's going on, and I guess we're still in partnership, but yet it's not Stoughton Trailers Park, and I guess I just want to make sure that that is clear, and that makes me sound really bad, but that needs to be said, because anybody else who gets a name on the park, it's not their park, it's our community's park.
Yeah, I think we understand that. Now, we're very excited, but just, I believe the packet that you have is kind of what we presented earlier this month. The phases that you're referencing, those came directly from city staff, so we didn't make those up. Those were from them, and the items in red are just our comments to those and what we believe we may be able to assist with. So those 4 phases were indeed provided by the city, and through the master planning process, kind of some of the discussion on what we thought we may be able to do to assist.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Next item, R103 at 2025, accepting Stoughton Trailers Phase 1 public improvements.
Basically, with a development agreement, Stoughton Trailers were obviously responsible for construction and installation of the Phase 1 improvements. They have requested that the city accept those. So city staff has reviewed the request. There are a few punch list items on some of the utilities, but that's not uncommon. So the resolution would conditionally accept the improvements just on them completing all the punch list items. With the stormwater, the stormwater improvements are a little different because you conditionally accept those. We conditionally accept for 3 years. And then after 3 years, as long as everything is still working according as designed, then we would take full acceptance of it. There are some more significant punch list items that the city engineer has provided to the developer. So before we even conditionally accept those, the stormwater improvements, they would have to complete those punch list items. But I guess this is in line with the development agreement.
All right, any questions or comments for the city attorney? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion for the resolution.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Reeves. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. R104 of 2025. I think did this go to planning? No? It's coming from you? Okay. Sure.
What did go to planning was the change in our ordinance, having us as a designated city. This is giving developers the option to go through a third party or go through the state for state approved plans. And we're just entering into an agreement with essentially the architects and engineers to review those plans. But we cannot require people to go through us. They can go through us or the state.
Okay, any questions about that?
I'll just add a further comment.
Go.
So basically this agreement, we're contracting with another entity to do this plan review. It's theoretically cost neutral to the city, maybe would come out a little bit ahead, because the people applying for the permits, they'll pay those fees directly to the entity, and then they'll perform their review. The city gets 10% of the total fee back to cover administrative costs. So otherwise, this is revenue neutral.
And then from the state, we don't get any administrative costs, is that?
Correct. If the person applies for their commercial building review through the state, that's outside of this process, but they have the right to apply to the state.
I will add too, one of the, again, we can't require them, right? But one of the benefits is that right now, when somebody applies at the state, we can't see where they are in the process or any of the review comments necessarily. And if they go through this third party, we have access and we can see where they are. And quite frankly, like the reason that people would choose to go through the third party is it is faster. So.
Yeah, it just seems like it helps with our planning, because then we can see whether or not something is going to be coming or not. And with the state, it's sometimes a guessing game. I mean, we have to make the phone call and try to, get an answer, which isn't always easy to do. And I think their workload fluctuates. I think this will be helpful at times when maybe the state is behind. Somebody might choose to go this route. So, any questions on it? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Reeves, second by Tillison. One last opportunity for conversation. Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. R105, this one came from the Plan Commission. Alderperson Caravello.
Thank you. This is R105 of 2025, approving an extraterritorial land division at parcel number 0611-293-8500-1, Town of Pleasant Springs, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by President Schumacher. Alderperson Caravello.
And this is just a land division to create a 3.4 acre lot from a 37.5 acre lot. And we're doing this because it's within the 1.5 mile extraterritorial jurisdictional boundary. And if this is done, this parcel or this property will actually be on Skyline Drive in Pleasant Springs.
All right. Anything you want to add, Director Munz-Pritchard? I mean, the map is there.
Yeah, I mean, this, we've talked about consent agenda items. This is one, normally with ETJs, you're looking at large-scale plats that we would want to be involved in, not a 3-acre lot, one basically over a mile away. So it's a no-brainer.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? That motion carries. Next item is ordinance for first reading from the Plan Commission.
And this is 027 of 2025, approving a rezoning from rural holding, from the rural holding district to planned business district for the area known as 1420 Nygaard Street, tax parcel 0511062871112, Stoughton, Wisconsin, and this is a first reading.
All right. Director Munz-Pritchard, the map is up there. You can see it. This is the property that is right next to what is now Church's Chicken, and there's a house there. And then there's basically the 51 apartments that have recently been completed. And I think there's a planned use for this.
Yeah, it's a veterinary clinic that's looking at going in this location. It'll be coming back for an SIP approval coming up. Honestly, the way that it's zoned right now, it's actually not in compliance because I think it's rural holding and it has a minimum of like 35 acres that you're supposed to have. You can see how it kind of developed around, and it's just this is, I hate to say it like this, but this is a no-brainer. This is exactly what it should be zoned or something close to, so.
All right, any questions or comments? Alderperson Reeves?
I don't know if you can actually share, but it's more out of curiosity. Is this a vet that's relocating then, or maybe you're not able to say at this point?
Don't know that I'm able to say it.
That's fine. I was just curious. No, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? So this is a first reading, so it'll be back at the next meeting. So if something comes up, let us know and we'll try to get you the answers. All right, we'll go on to the next item, which is our 106 of 2025. This one also came from the Plan Commission.
And this one is approving a conditional use permit for multiplex and apartments for the Authentics project that was presented earlier per section 78-105 sub G 3A, located at parcel number 281/061-313-962-3-2 on lot 50 of Stoughton Trailers Gateway East, lots 2 and 3, and outlot 1 of CSM 16445, location in section 31, town 6 north, range 11 east, plat, and I so move.
Is there a second? Did you practice that?
Oh, that was a great job. Just reading what's in front of me.
All right, we have a second by Tillison. You want to elaborate even more on it?
No.
You did it great. So just because of, I want to explain why that's so long, is the plat hasn't actually been filed yet. So we're referencing the plat and then where it's going to be and all of that fun stuff. So you did a great job on that. So they're meeting the minimum requirements for the conditional use permit. Initially, when they had come to us, they were missing the 50% LSR. We gave them feedback, and those feedbacks that they are including are actually in this conditional use permit. It's part of the conditions. I can go into a lot of detail on it, but they did a nice job explaining it. They're taking over a strip in the rear along 49 to meet the minimum requirements, which will act as a nice buffer between the single family and that 4950, which are multifamily. There's also quite the slope there. So that was also added into one of the conditions, is that landscaping in those areas as well. And they're taking over the what would have been lot 1, which is, and I'm going to mess it up, I believe a dry detention basin, which was part of the overall design of the stormwater in this area. And they're taking over maintenance. So that's a condition of one of the conditions to this approval. Do you guys want me to go over it in detail? What would you like? Because I don't want to bore you, but I want to make sure I'm answering questions. Yes, ma'am.
I don't think I need any further detail, but just to make sure I understood. So there was the presentation, and so that was not a maybe presentation. That's what we're looking at, and those are conditions that
Yes.
that cannot be changed.
So I will say this, what they initially came to us, they weren't, so in a conditional use permit, they have to meet the minimum requirements of the conditions set in our ordinance, and they were not. And during that feedback, they were like, these are the things that we want to see, and they listened and then provided it, which became part of the conditional use permit. So we've got the green roof, which is going into that ratio, essentially. They are putting in the community gardens, indoor bike security areas, and going above EV charging stations, the balconies overlooking that Greenbrier Drive.
The pond,
The balconies?
the stormwater,
You're confusing me.
the stormwater, yeah.
Yeah, they are taking over the stormwater as well, on that north end, and they're also creating, I believe, a pathway around that that's also hooking into our existing trail system as part of that. So, and it is outlined all in the conditions that were put into this CUP. So,
And then we'll also have to approve the site plan as well, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, and then city attorney always has something to say about conditional use permits. You
Oh,
just
wow.
can't help yourself, can you?
I just wanted to mention the stormwater issue. So that outlot is going to be dedicated to the city. So we still have to, I guess, paper that where that land would be basically attached to this lot that they're developing, and there will be a stormwater maintenance agreement that's included in the conditions. So that still has to be executed. We're in the process of negotiating that. And I think everybody has heard our spiel on conditional use permits quite a bit. But I guess just for fun, so with conditional use permits, state statute does play a role in your review process. So if the applicant has provided evidence to show that they're meeting all the minimum requirements and they are meeting any conditions or agreeing to meet any of those conditions, the city would have to approve the conditional use permit. But if there is evidence provided to the contrary that they can't meet the requirements or the conditions, then the council would have the discretion to deny the permit or attach additional conditions. I don't know if there was any evidence presented against at Plan Commission, but you have all the application information that was provided in the presentation tonight.
So the lot to the north, the plat still has not been filed yet, so it will be referenced on the plat. And essentially what needs to happen is there needs to be like an easement over the place showing that there's a detention pond, because like 20, 30 years from now, we don't want that getting filled in, you know, or something built on it. That's part of an overall system. So that way we can like maintain that level of like control over it with a maintenance agreement in place.
And this may be this is probably outside of this particular, it's probably getting into the weeds, so to speak, but when Director Abear provided an update on the Rotary Park renovation with the native plantings, I know he was recommending, and I don't know if this came from Public Works or Parks and Rec, or if it was just a recommendation or if it's set in stone, but one of the things we talked about and they're going to be doing is a particular mix. He provided, I believe, a mix and a list so that we don't have 7,000 black-eyed Susans like they do in Magnolia Springs and 6, bee-balm. So, just making sure that we are, and again, this might be outside of what we can talk about today, but just for a future note to self, so we can be specific about the plantings we're recommending, partly for education too. Some just don't know. So
it's funny you bring up Magnolia Springs, because I think you did reach out and ask me about that, and I think in our agreements it says just like mixed seeds or something along those lines. So maybe like strengthening some of that language in the future might not be a bad, I mean, just in general terms. I know we're getting off topic, but like, yeah.
And I think Director Aber has a comment too.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is in the future, with these basins to strengthen that language on what we require, and also that 3-year maintenance requirement as well, to strengthen those in our developers agreements. Also, we're doing, I think, a much better job of looking at the actual plantings within these basins. A lot of lessons learned over the last couple of years with all the extra basins we've been taking on. So yes, Alder Reeves will be taking a look at a lot of the plant selections within these basins and seed selections as well.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the conditional use permit? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? That motion carries. Next item is also from the Plan Commission, since you're on a roll here.
Thank you. This is R107 of 2025, approving a conditional use permit for multiple principal buildings on a lot per section 78-205 sub 9, located at 431 Glacier Moraine Drive, Stoughton, Wisconsin. Parcel number 061132498652, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tillison, Alderperson Caravello.
And this is for continued development and a structure or structures on Glacier Marine Drive.
Yep, so these are related to the Grosso properties for the business incubators that had the offer to purchase, and then the conditional use, and I think we still need a site plan.
Yeah, so the conditional use is for more than one principal structure on a lot, but what's interesting about this particular development is that there could be uses that go in, because they're almost like an incubator, right? That could go in, that could require an additional conditional use. So that's also noted in the planner's reports and the resolution. So just more of an FYI, and it will be coming back for an SIP approval. And this is one of them, like, we got together at our TAC meeting, and one of the things that did come up was like turnaround for emergency vehicles, the way that it's set up. And so that was put in there as well as one of the conditions.
All right, any questions or comments on this one?
I'm just looking to see if I can find this in here, but these structures, these differ from what they've done previously because these are larger. Is
Yeah,
that
yep,
generally
exactly. The ones they have now are 1 or 2 units, so they have 1 to 2 overhead doors with an office. And these, I think, were going to be 3 or maybe even 4 units.
I believe so, and they actually, and please guys jump in here if I've misunderstood, but it sounds like they have people that are growing out of their current space and they need more square footage. They're actually probably already pre-leasing some of these areas for existing buildings to move out, and then other ones to move into the smaller spaces.
Yeah, they've been really popular. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. R108 is coming from planning.
And this one is approving a 2-lot certified survey map located at 849 US Highway 51, Stoughton, Wisconsin, parcel numbers, or number, however it may be, 281/051-102-8503-2, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Butler, Alderperson Caravello.
And this one is, I believe, basically turning what is currently a single lot into 2 separate lots.
So 16 or 15 and 16 are, because we have a conditional or a CSM and a change in zoning, so just more of an FYI. So this is essentially, there's 2 single-family homes on a lot. It's being subdivided. The remainder of the lot is being adjoined to the larger ag lot to the south. And then there's a zoning aspect of it as well that is the next.
All right, any questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None opposed, that one carries. And here's the second part, Alderperson Caravello.
And this one is R109 of 2025, approving a change in zoning located at 849 US Highway 51, parcel numbers 05111-028-5032 and 849 US Highway 51, parcel number 05111-0286912, and I so move.
Actually, I think there should be an ordinance, so this would be a first reading.
Oh, okay,
I just noticed that, so.
Oh.
okay.
Do we need an
Do we read-
amendment?
Or do we read it, renotice it, or what do we need to do here?
Because we already did the public hearing.
Yes.
So the actual document says it's an ordinance, but it's labeled a resolution. So I think we could treat this as a first reading and
Okay.
come back for the second reading next meeting.
Okay. All right, that's what we'll do. Anything that you wanted to describe on this one?
It's the same thing that we just talked about.
Okay, so this part will come back at the next meeting. Good catch. We'll move on to the next items. It looks like the next several are coming from finance, which is Alderperson Butler.
Yeah, and I don't have any parcel numbers to read, I'm sorry. And then I lost, okay. This is R110 of 2025, an agreement with Ehlers for a pro forma analysis for TID number 8, the Alexander Company Incorporated, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wozniak Scanlon. Alderperson Butler.
And this is to, it's laid out pretty clearly. It's to enter into agreement with Ehlers to do an analysis for TID 8 for the development by the Alexander Company. Its fiscal impact is $15,000 with the developer agreement requiring reimbursement from the developer, and I would yield to Director Trebatowski if she wants to clean up my mess.
You did very well. So yeah, they submitted the TIF request. This is typical with developments to do a perform analysis, making sure that they're evaluating the financial feasibility, identifying if there is a gap where they would need public assistance.
Any questions or comments on this one? So this is kind of all the part of the process. Ultimately, Rick gets to draft a developer's agreement. I think that's how it all rolls toward you, right? So the first step is to engage with Ehlers. And I don't know if I asked you this earlier, but do you know what their lead time is right now?
They didn't indicate.
Okay.
So I would have to check.
I know in the past it's taken like up to 6 weeks. So I'm not really sure how long this one's going to take, but I'm sure the developer would be interested, and probably the city attorney as well, as we try to pull all the pieces to the puzzle together and keep this thing moving forward. RDA probably want to know as well.
Okay, when I let them know it's approved, I can ask.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from alders? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next one, Alderperson Butler.
This is R111 of 2025 to enter into an agreement with Ehlers for a 2025 tax incremental district number 7 allocation amendment, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Hirsch. Alderperson Butler.
This is one that works around an item that we've discussed quite frequently over time to essentially allow TID District 7, which is financially performing well, to essentially loan funds to TID District 8 to kind of balance things. Director
And I think you indicated it's for our current debt.
Correct. So
That's a key
currently,
thing.
TID 8's increment revenue isn't sufficient to cover the obligations of the TID. TID 7 is has sufficient increment to cover and has a healthy fund balance. And as demonstrated with the debt issue, Greg provided cash flows that showed where TID 7 would have sufficient increment to donate to TID 8. And again, this is just for the current obligations. I'm not considering any future development and any developer agreements and anything like that.
Any questions or comments on this one?
I actually do have a question. I should have thought of it probably many meetings ago. So, like you said, it's considering current dollars and the current situation. If in the future TID 8 performs really well, is there a function by which this gets paid back, or is that not even really necessary?
It would just stay with TID 8, covering it. Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Item 19 also is coming from finance. We were busy
This is R 112 of 2025 to amend the 2025 capital improvement plan CIP budget for the City Hall renovation needs assessment, and I so move.
Is there a second? Second by Wozniak Scanlon. Alderperson Butler.
And this is to, like it says, finance a needs assessment for City Hall renovations that are needed, and I would actually defer to Director Muntz-Pritchard on this one. Sorry. Or to Director
I'll start with the
Trevithick.
financial side, and then she can handle the actual project. So in the resolution, there's a project that is already in there that is not going to be needed for $10,000. And then the remaining portion would come from any unused underwriter's discount or reoffering premium. So this would not exceed the debt limit that you said of the $12,605,000. It just would, if you had unused underwriter's discount, you would be able to downsize the debt. So this would just be able to fund the project and possibly be able to even still downsize the debt, but it wouldn't exceed the limit that you've already set.
Yeah, and so with the shifting in our office, it became pretty clear that we have a lot of unused space in ours, and this is also in City Hall. I mean, it still looks like a bank when you walk in. And there's other concerns. Right now, we did an evaluation on all of our buildings. We can see the HVAC, and there's some other things that are failing in the building. Additionally, as I've talked before, we have meetings in that building at night, and we really should move a meeting area so that you can see the front door, right? It's a safety concern. This is just to look at the evaluation of the building to see what kind of cost renovations will cost, if there's any kind of like low-hanging fruit that we can make small changes. The other thing too is the building is not sprinklered, and it is not, the basement, you can't get in the basement. I mean, all of this stuff you guys know. So really we want to look at the space to see what we can do with it and then come up with a long-term plan. Most likely we'll be trying to evaluate in because I believe that they said they could get this done by November, I believe. And then we would be looking at 2026 to kind of lay out a long-term plan on like, okay, here's what we can do and here's what we can't do. Because I'm not really sure on the trigger. We're like, okay, we have this much space we've renovated. Now we have to add the sprinkler systems or whatnot. I was explaining we had to replace the panels downstairs in the building because when they upgraded the chargers outside for the EV chargers, it was actually triggering half of the building and we were losing electricity, and that just happened recently. So this is something that really needs to be done. And then that way too, we're not having to knee jerk and like make these corrections. So.
All right, any questions or comments? Alderperson Nino.
Can you talk a little bit about the elevator and the ADA accessibility?
Yeah, so currently right now, the elevator or the space downstairs can be used because when it was created, ADA hadn't kicked in, and that's what it was being used for. If we hit a certain point, then we have to essentially install an elevator. The building is unique. I don't know where we're going to necessarily put one. We actually walked around, and I know you were here during part of that. Like Nick's office, when you guys walk in Nick's office in that front part, there is actually, it's just concrete floor there. So ideally, that would have been probably the right location to put an elevator, but you can't. Most likely, it's going to have to be outside of the building, but that would be encroaching on a lot of spaces. So it's going to be challenging, but we need to see what we need to do and how we need to do that, and even if it's feasible. And maybe I don't know. I feel really uncomfortable talking about it, but like maybe we can't bring it up to ADA compliance, so then the basement isn't used for the public in any capacity. I don't know. So.
Alderperson Tilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Was there not a needs assessment done when we took over the building in the past?
There was when the building was donated, but it was more of a maintenance needs, not a usage need. And, once we got in there, we discovered, like, didn't even think about where the meeting room was located. And so some of these things are starting to surface now. So we're just looking to see whether or not there's some things that we can do, and if it's cost effective to do it, or if we just have to, for example, move the meetings that are there to another building.
I know right now, like, so for example, our HVAC is on its last leg. That's what came back from the assessments. Yeah, all of us know how this works with older buildings. So if we're going to upgrade the system, because we have to, we need to be not upgrading it and then tearing it out, because then we're renovating the building. I want to get ahead of this.
Sure, I think this was 6
Yeah.
years ago when we moved in.
Yeah.
That would be something we could at least see what the last needs assessment was. If we're
Yeah.
gonna approve for another needs assessment.
It's not necessarily a needs assessment. I want to make that, I might have misspoke. What it is we're going to have an architect look at it and be like, okay, here's the trigger points for bringing X, Y, and Z up. And then,
Should we change the resolution then to not say needs assessment?
yes.
We can.
Yeah.
I mean, when we purchased the building, or the building was donated, it was more like an inspection. This
Yeah.
is more like a future use.
Jordan, I guess I agree. What would be the better, not misleading way to say it? Because I guess an architectural evaluation, you know what I'm getting at? Like, how
I'd
should
be
we?
asking you that question.
Well, I know, but I'm like,
don't know
I guess then it isn't, you're right, it's not a needs assessment. What we're doing is we're looking at, we're basically getting architectural plans to see what would be feasible. But I don't
A
know.
safety study?
Yeah, we could call it a safety study. Yeah. Yeah.
Feasibility assessment, is that okay?
Well,
I'm okay with that. I'd still like to see what the last report was if we're moving forward
Yeah,
with this
we
too
can
in the future.
Dig in the
Yeah.
archive and pull that out. I'm sure that would be one of the first things the architects will want as well. So we
Which
can
I
do
did,
that.
I went in and I pulled that stuff out and did send it to the architect, so they have like the previous building, they have the new evaluation on all of the mechanics, all of that stuff has
We
been
have
sent
all
out to them,
We have
so,
all the blueprints as well.
yes, yep.
For sure. This is just
Yeah.
for approving for them to do a safety assessment.
I think,
But
yeah.
as we get
I
moving forward,
apologize, I wasn't trying to mislead you guys, I didn't,
I'm holding it against you.
thanks.
I mean, and I know
Oh.
Adrian has her hand up,
Yep.
and then I'll
Yeah.
comment.
All right, Alderperson Nino.
I'm just reading, in the task order, the services description says, provide conceptual design and preliminary opinion of probable design and construction costs for renovations. I don't know if that gives us any insight into a renaming mechanism or approach, perhaps. Concept design, something like that.
I think concept design is probably, yeah.
Well, but, I mean, I don't think you were wrong calling it a needs assessment, because you're assessing what all needs to be changed according to how the building is being used, and that is what a needs assessment is. It's interviewing you guys to figure out office space, conference room space, and then based on that, coming up with a plan that deals with the HVAC and ADA
Yeah.
compliance. So I'm not opposed to needs assessment, because it's more than just safety. It's actually understanding the needs and the use of that building and trying to make it efficient
So we
and
have,
upgrade it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Use what word you want, but it's not just a safety
Yeah.
assessment.
I think Strand will understand the spirit of the resolution. So we have a motion on the table, we can either amend the name or we can vote on it. I guess it's up to you guys. Alderperson Reeves?
I guess I just had a question, because now I might be confused about what we'll end up with in our hands. So they're not going to, will they say, we think this is what you need for efficiency and safety and all those things, and this is a ballpark of what it's going to cost, right? They're not doing an architectural design. So I guess I'm backing into it saying, what are we going to get? And that's probably what we need to title it.
You read it, I can't.
Because now I'm unclear about what we're
No,
going to
it's,
get.
yeah, it's fine. So essentially, they're doing an evaluation of the existing building with the architecture layout. They're going to look at an efficient way to lay out the building from both like a safety and like feasibility. And then I keep using this word, and it might not be correct, but I want to know the tipping point for when we have to bring certain things into compliance. So in other words, if there is a small project that we can do to make it more user-friendly, and it'll be minimum versus like gutting the building and then rehabbing it. And that's what I'm looking at from these architects, is to be like, okay, these are the suggestions we're making. Here's the cost on this. Because they're going to have to look at, we need to know, okay, if you go this direction, you have to bring HVAC. This is the cost on this. This is this. And they do outline it in the, Fran outlined it for us. So.
Yeah, so I'm less concerned about the name of it because it sounds like you have clear expectations. That sounds reasonable to me. So I don't have a strong opinion about that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't give two shits about the name either. It's more of did we do this back 6 years ago and have some kind of study, and now we're on a time-sensitive resolution here, and we can't even review what we went over 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think, like I said, what we went over 6 years ago was basically more like a building inspection, like, does the air conditioner work? Do all the light switches work? Much like if you were to purchase a house or a business. This is more like a future use of the building and what would need to be done in order to, use this building long term. Have better use of the space, maybe some safety type things. Some of it we've already implemented and we're going to be doing more. So I think that's the distinction. That was just more, hey, does everything work? This is like, well, it's not if everything works. It's like, okay, if we want, to make it more energy efficient, or we want to make it where we could add more offices, or we want to move the conference room, that's a different scope than what we did 6 years ago. But we're happy to share that information with you if you think that'll help, because you may have some ideas. You may be asked questions by Strand, because you've been in the building and buildings, right?
That's right.
So we'll probably be calling you.
I guess I got one. Is this a landmark building?
It is not. No, it is not. But it's definitely a one-of-a-kind building for our community, so we want to protect our investment. And I think one of the examples I use at Finance Committee is if we were to put in an HVAC unit, it would be sized right now for the building that we have and the use that we have. But if we were to add offices or rearrange things, now we might need to add some more ductwork, and we might need a higher efficiency or a bigger unit for the building. So we don't want to buy an air conditioner and then decide 5 years later that we should have bought a bigger one, for example. So I think that's what we're trying to get to, if that helps.
Sorry, it does help, Mayor, and I appreciate that. It's just, to me, I wasn't here 6 years ago. I'm sure, a lot of us weren't here 6 years ago, but these had to have been some of the thoughts that were taken into effect when we thought about getting that building.
Probably the biggest concern 6 years ago is there used to be a gas station in the parking lot. So there was a well in there from the DNR that we had to monitor for a year, which has since been closed. But that was probably the biggest concern that we had at that point. Other than we knew it was a building that, was not brand new, and we were going to have to do some upgrades along the way, which we've been chipping away at, but we still have a ways to go. And when we start replacing the roofs and windows and HVAC units, they're expensive, and we want to do it right. It's not a historical building, so we could feasibly, change the look of the building within reason if we were to do that to make it more energy efficient, for example. You have your hand up?
I did. So setting aside the naming of the of what we're calling this utilization assessment, whatever. Alder Reeves, to your question about what are we going to be getting from Strand, I'm looking at this, and the deliverables are really clearly laid out. So I don't think in terms of the actual outcome of this, I have any concerns over that.
All right, Alderperson Caravello.
And I just have something to be really picky about this. In the second whereas, it says the physical off space still maintains the look and function of a bank branch office. So part of the word office is missing in the second whereas. That's all I have to say about that.
Are there any numbers missing too?
I don't see any numbers.
Call out all the account numbers.
All right, do you have something else?
One last, how time sensitive does this have to be? 'Cause if I really wanted to see all that documentation.
The time sensitivity is with the funding of it. So if we want to incorporate it and using this current debt issue that we're going through right now, by using some of that unused underwriters discount or some reoffering premium, we need direction now. So if we're not given this and we want to delay it, then we would have to find alternative funding sources for it, or put it off until next year.
Thank you.
All right, well, that was good. Any last thoughts? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed?
No.
That motion does carry. All right, we'll go to item number 20, which is also from Finance. Alderperson Butler.
This is R113 of 2025 to amend the 2025 CIP budget for the purchase of a Wildcat RHC 70 trommel screen at auction, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Nino. Alderperson Butler.
As fun as the last discussion was, this was by far the coolest thing that we discussed in finance. We nerded out on it. This is to buy a trommel screen, which is an aggregate separator, I'd say, or at least a bid on it at auction. And I would defer to Director Hebert.
Yes, so this is for all you Gold Rush fans. So this is a trommel screen, if you've ever watched the show, that they basically use to separate aggregate. And we would use this for our compost site, and to obviously to work through our compost material, but also our low hazard exemption for street sweepings. So basically we have to separate the organics from inorganics from our street sweepings, to divert them from the landfill. So the DNR requires us to trommel screen these. Currently we rent a trommel screen twice per year for about $15,000 to $16,000. So we happened to catch wind of a trommel screen that was going to public auction from the city of Beloit, which for those of you that don't know, I came from Beloit, and this unit was there when I was there, and we had great success with it, and you had a low hazard exemption as well. So it's the right size for us as well. A lot of the trommel screens on the market today are much larger. In the 2026 CIP ask, we're looking at spending, with approval, potentially up to $120,000 for a used unit. I think we can get this unit for $75,000 or less. Depending on who's bidding on it as well. This is not a foregone conclusion that it would be ours. We certainly have to do a public bidding process or auction process. But this unit certainly fits within the needs of our operation. We did have our fleet manager, street supervisor, and one of our operators go take a look at it in person actually this morning, just to make sure that this was a sound piece of equipment. Everything checked out, and with your support, we'll go forward and bid on this product down the auction block actually as of Monday of this week. Any questions?
Not seeing any questions. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? That motion carries. Next item is coming from the Redevelopment Authority, Alderperson Hirsch. It's R114 of 2025. Can't hear you. Oh, sorry.
R114, 2025, authorizing city officials to execute a second amendment to the memorandum of agreement with the Alexander Company. And I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wozniak Scanlon. Alderperson Hirsch.
Sure, and I'll probably pass this off to Rick, but this is just an amendment to the MOA that we had. I think we started it last fall, and then we amended it in, it was April or May, and then we're just getting along. We just have to extend it again until October to get all the pieces of this puzzle to work together and get all the approvals for all of it to kind of move forward. And Rick, you can do all more of the legalese kind of talk.
So it's pretty straightforward. It's just keeping the same agreement in place until August, or basically MOA until October 31st. So they've gotten their general development plan approved. They're obviously submitting the TIF application, so they continue to make progress on it. So this would just allow the process to continue.
All right, any questions or comments on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. Last item is R115 of 2025. This would be amendment to the agreement for Phase 2 of Kettle Park West. This was at Finance Committee earlier tonight. Alderperson Butler.
And I'll read it, but before I move, I'll ask Attorney Manthe to add, because we have a stipulation. So this is R115 of 2025, a resolution by the Common Council of the City of Stoughton approving an amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements Kettle Park West Phase 2.
So the developer provided a letter report on the property. So there's an outstanding mortgage on the property that they're in the process of removing. They weren't able to get it to us today, but the bank is processing it. So the, I guess, condition of approval would be that it's approved, subject to them providing the release of the outstanding mortgage.
So should I move with a stipulation of the release of, or the satisfaction of that?
Correct.
Yep.
Of those terms. So I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by President Schumacher. Did you catch all that, Candy?
Yes, I have it, thanks.
All right, otherwise I think Lisa has it, or we can see if Rick can remember tomorrow morning.
So this agreement, obviously we've had a lot of discussion surrounding this area. So this would dedicate basically Lot 1, a portion of Lot 1 to the city for parkland dedication purposes for the multifamily on Cromwell Court. The remainder, 2.92 acres, the city would reimburse or pay the developer $40,000 per acre. So it is approximately $116,000. So the developer is on board with that. Connor is here, Connor with a K, and I guess answer any questions. But it seems like they're ready to move forward with releasing the deed restriction on those 8 lots up there. So the lots will be conveyed fairly quickly, and homes built on those. There's also a provision in there about those lots to the north of this lot, basically like those won't develop until they submit a plan acceptable to the city, and they're going to make good faith efforts to submit something in the next 12 months.
All right, any questions or comments on this one? Alderperson Nino?
I'm just wondering if for the resident in the room who expressed concern about the plans not to connect Opening Drive, if we just could give a little bit of a background on, you know, that there were no safety concerns regarding that removal and any of the other reasons why, as a council, we decided to remove
Sure,
that.
I can start, and whoever wants to fill in the blanks. So when this phase was originally approved, I was on the city council at the time, so it's been many years now. And one of the issues we had was we were concerned about public safety being able to get in and service the development, because at that time, the only access point was from Jackson Street at the stoplights going through. And so we had put the deed restriction on there to encourage the developers to at some point extend Oak Opening down toward Highway 138, and then the city would be responsible for making the connection, so we would have the second access point. We had to get approval from the DOT at the time, and that took like 2 years, I think. They did traffic impact analysis. They weren't real crazy about the idea, but they ultimately approved it. If we were going to make the connection, and the council had this conversation a few months ago, more than likely would have to redo the traffic impact analysis, and the DOT could just simply say no, because their concern is that a right-in, right-out, or even a roundabout there could pose more of a safety issue than we would have if we don't do it. Since the development to the north has expanded with 51 West, there's been 2 additional access points. One that is basically at Deer Point in the Oak Opening by Stoughton Lumber, and then the other one is from Rutland Dunn Town Line Road down to Oak Opening. So now we do have 3 access points. So we had conversations with our emergency management, particularly the fire chief, and he feels comfortable with the 3 access points that we had. And you know, the other reasons, you know, we talked about was trying to, you know, preserve the parkland and do some restoration around the pond and some environmental things. So that's why we basically met with property owners there. We met with Forward Development Group and came back with a proposal to basically what's in front of you tonight is kind of the conclusion of those conversations. Did I miss anything? Can't hear.
One of the other things, I'm missing Tom Majewski, always used to nudge me, but I thought if we would have went through the Oak Opening going to 138, the house that's adjacent would have had to give up their driveway, because DOT only wanted 1 in out in that stretch, and that would have been too close together. And so that was a stipulation too. And also, the development is supposed to go more towards Oregon, and is that School Road?
Star School.
Yep.
Star School, and that would be another access point on 138 eventually. We, you know, it was a tough call to give up that access, but you know, now that we have the other developments, as the mayor says, to the north, it's easier to, you know, stomach giving this up. So, and it to get that road in would mean that we're kind of ruining a nice kettle, so that's also not a really cool thing either. So no decisions are easy, but this is, we've looked at all the public safety and we feel comfortable.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for asking.
The other thing with that connection, we would have, I can't remember if you mentioned this now, but we likely would have had to do a new traffic impact analysis there, and it's not, DOT wasn't happy with that connection in the first place. It's not clear that we would actually be able to punch through there.
And there would have been, you know, additional costs for the city to make that connection, especially if it was a roundabout. You know, those typically go for a couple $1 million. So that's money that would come out of the TIF district that would be available to do things like helping, Hit 8, for example, or doing other public improvements like restoration around the pond and those types of things, or, getting utilities to the land on the other side and things like that. So financially, it gives us more flexibility as well, and allows the developer to move forward with those 8 lots, and it dedicates the parkland required for the approved apartments behind the True Hotel as well. So it really does check a lot of boxes, but certainly, the concern that was brought up tonight, we take seriously, and we feel like we did our due diligence. Anybody else have any?
Yes, Mayor. Alder Nino asked the same question I had, probably a lot better than I could have asked it, but I still would like to know what the civilian Mr. Shallow's, does that make sense to you, what we've been talking about? Yep. And how we've kind of gotten to why we're leading this way?
Yes. And it's difficult. I mean, we usually don't engage, but, I don't know how long we lived up there, so some of us, it's like we've been working on this project for like 10 plus years. So it's not something like we woke up this morning and we said, oh, we should just do this. There's been a lot of thought into it, and certainly it's hard to stay up to date on everything that's happening in your neighborhood. So
Sure thing, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the explanations tonight by the council. We just moved in there a couple months ago, so just trying to follow developments as it's important to us. So appreciate the explanations tonight, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out anytime if you want, email, cup of coffee, whatever, and we can let you know everything else that's going on out there as well. Thank you. Yep.
And we'll also entertain you guys, if you're really interested in this stuff, come join the council at some point.
Yeah. That wasn't a hard no.
You don't want it to be on the record.
All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor with the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? That motion carries. That was all the business we had for tonight. We did it by 9 o'clock.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Tillerson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.